Hello and welcome everyone, this is Dmitry. We are having another network programmability stream, and today we are going to go through a new lab from Cisco DevNet. It's called Learn NSO the Easy Way. It was just released a couple of weeks ago, so I'm very excited to go through it and see the content with my own eyes and tell what I think about it. Together with this lab, there was also a release of DevNet NSO sandbox, so you can just go to DevNet portal, reserve a sandbox for free, and you get an environment for you to play with for a week and to play with NSO. And there is already some Cisco topology pre-built there, which is pretty good. So like you don't need to do a lot of setup to get this to get your environment ready for you to start playing with NSO. So I will go through, we'll be doing this lab on this sandbox and we'll see how that goes. Alright, a couple of things to discuss before we start the stream. And by the way, if you're watching this as a recording, there should be a time code below allowing you to switch between sections in case you don't care about some of the things or some of the sections. So we don't have a lot of news or announcements today. Probably, there are only two. Let's start with this one. So at work, I started playing more with DNA Center, with SDA, with Cisco SD-WAN. So with actually a lot of our Cisco technologies. And I found myself that I don't understand all of the networking pieces happening under the hood of Cisco SDA. And I don't know how much you guys are familiar with SDA, but there is a bunch of technologies involved. So there is Lisp, PGP, ASAv, TrustSec. There is a bunch of things working together in tandem, and for example, I don't know anything about Lisp. So it has been really hard for me to understand what exactly is going on, and I'm one of those people who really wants to. So like if in piece of my network something is running, I want to understand what exactly is going on under the hood, so I can effectively troubleshoot it, or I can effectively understand the traffic flows and stuff like that. So I realized that this was a big gap for me, so I was trying to look for different resources, and I stumbled upon this blog that you can see right now on the screen, the ASCII construct blog, and this guy wrote, I think, 11 parts for SDA, 11 blog articles, and I started going through them, and I can tell you guys, this is like amazing. I don't remember the last time I was impressed by blog to such a degree, to such a level. Like, I started going through this one by one, and I am currently on part 5. And this guy just did amazing job explaining what is going on under the hood. And I can't thank him enough for this series. I honestly think it's a very impressive. It's worth reading. So if you folks either have SDA in production, or you are thinking about SDA, or you're just curious of what is going on, and like how would you build a fabric, how would you build a campus fabric, and how Cisco does that, this is like really great series of articles. So I stopped at this part 5, and I realized that okay, there is so much details here that now I need to stop, and I need to build a lab and try everything that was discussed here on my own before I move forward, because yeah, it starts very easy and gets complex very fast as well. So yeah, I can't recommend this enough. This is very good blog. Right, another news that I wanted to bring up was that Nornir has a first alpha release for 3.0, and I briefly discussed it on previous streams. So there is going to be quite significant backwards incompatible change in 3.0 in Nornir. And the biggest thing that is going to happen is that plugins are going away from Nornir core. So you'll have Nornir core, and then all plugins will be separate. So you have to pip install them separately. And there is a lot of work to get this done. Big thanks to David Barroso who championed this and did 99% of the work here. There are still changes that we are going to do, so probably I wouldn't suggest you use this in production in any capacity yet. But if you want to understand like where Nornir is going, you could install this and try and see how is it working for you. We will try to keep the number of backwards incompatible changes as small as we can, but unfortunately, at least this one, like, there is no way we can do it super seamless. So there are going to be like, some breaking things. The main reason we are doing this though is it became really hard to maintain project. So around like 50 to 70% of the issues are around plugins. So either people asking for some feature or asking a question about plugin, or there is some bug in the plugin. Okay. And for core maintainers, it's really big burden, especially if one of us doesn't use that plugin. Okay, for example, none of us uses Ansible inventory. None of us uses Netbox plugin. So, or stuff like that. So, and people are coming with their problems or with some ideas there, and we have absolutely no incentive to work on that. Like, it's not really motivating for us. It's just became hard to maintain. So you want to have this like separation of concerns, separation of code base as well. So like we ask the most active people in the community, especially who did some work around plugins, to take ownership of some plugins. For example, like Netbox plugin, there are two very active community members who are using Nornir with Netbox very often, so we ask them to take over that particular piece. So those plugins all will live in their separate places, and will be like under different authors. So it will allow us to focus more on Nornir core and feel less frustrated when we are asked to do something that we like don't really want to do. It's a very similar thing about like how I feel like I don't really care about majority of the plugins. So again, like if there are features, even if there is like ready code with some kind of pull request, like it's not very interesting for me to review that. It's just this is how it is. So yeah, this is coming. If you want to take a look under the hood, 3.0 alpha 0 is a good first step. Yeah, I don't know when we will have the final release of 3.0, probably in a couple of months, but we haven't like really discussed this, so just stay tuned for that. Alright, that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover before we start the main topic. And as the main topic for today is NSO and this new lab. So if you just Google learn NSO the easy way, you will stumble upon this small article. And by the way, this lab was done by Jason Belk, and Sandbox was done by Hank Preston and Jason, as far as I know. So big kudos and thanks to them for creating this. I think it's a great way to make NSO more easily consumable. So, yep. So you stumble upon this article, and there is a link to Sandbox and there is a link to lab. So with this lab, you can either use Sandbox or you can use like your own installation if you want to. Okay, so I have this Sandbox installed. Reserved. So I have this reserved. I connected to VPN. I think we should be good here. This is a... Can I open this? Yeah. Okay, so this is topology. So there is NSO. There is DevBox. There is and there is topology. So there is ASA, Linux host, internet router, and there is 3-tier network here with the edge. Is it switch? Yeah, it seems like a switch. We have core running ISXR, we have distribution running ISXC, and then I guess, oh, it's distribution router, okay, and then distribution switch running Nexus OS. Okay, is this, by the way, this is the first time I'm running this, so like it's the first time I'm seeing this, so yeah. Okay. Okay, after you establish a VPN connection, there is a host switchboard for direct NSO access, and there is a dev box. Okay, I don't really know where we will be working on. I suspect we will be on this dev box, but I could be wrong. Okay, I think we can just go and start this lab. Okay, so what is NSO? And obviously I will not be reading all of this, but kind of like glancing through everything that they have here. So as part of NSO, I think the biggest part is this CDB thing. It's I think configuration database. This is where all of your configuration is stored in these YANG models, regardless if the device is supporting YANG or not. So everything is in YANG models and like indicates the current state of your network according to database. So there, because this is not like, this is a state of database, this is not necessarily a state of your network devices and their configuration. They could be not in sync, right? So you have operation like sync from. So you can take configurations from your network devices, convert them to YANG models and store it in CDB, or you can do sync to, right? Where you do it vice versa, where you take configuration from CDB and then you populate it to network devices. So NSO can find, like if you say check synchronization, right? It will go ahead and build what is on network devices in YANG models and what is in CDB and compare them. And it will say, there is something wrong here. And then you can make a decision what you want to do with this. So then with package managers, and I could be wrong here. Whatever, I will just be explaining like how I understand NSO, but I could be wrong in some pieces of it. So you have this packages that you can install and like that introduce support of specific platform. They are called nets. So, and I don't remember, a network element driver, I don't know, maybe whatever. So, and that is a module which takes configuration on the device and converts this to this NSO Yang model, if that makes sense, and vice versa. And then there is very big part of NSO and very like big selling feature of NSO as well is called, I guess, service manager or whatever services. It's a way for you to build Yang models of a service, which is, if you think about it, it's pretty much like placeholders for like a form or something, where you specify as the input some of your parameters. It could be, I don't know, customer name or something AS number, whatever. And then as part of the service definition, it translates those inputs which were declared according to Yang models to an actual pieces in the Yang tree, okay, of the actual like devices. All right. So, okay, set up NSO instance from local installation, connect network to NSO using NSO with very basic use cases. Yeah, let's see. Okay, reserve sandbox VPN credentials that you will receive. Okay, after you have connected to VPN, log into the dev box on NSO reservable sandbox. Okay. So we connect to 10, 10, 20, 50, and then developer. I don't need to save the session. Yep. Is it C1 SEO? Yeah, okay. So, and Python 368, and I think this was CentOS. The only problem is that I don't remember how to check that. Whatever. Is it? Yeah, it has you. Yeah, so yeah, this is CentOS. Is there a way to disable Bell? It's really annoying. Okay. There is folder called NSO in user home directory, which was created by unpacking NSO installer binary. NSO local installs and packs prepares the system to run NSO, but actually doesn't start it. Look at the contents of NSO packages net directory. Okay. Okay, so I guess these are one of the latest that were installed here. So by the way, folks, as far as I know, okay, and as far as I know, you can download NSO for free, and you will get like some versions of nets. I think like you get Cisco IIS, and I think something else, I don't remember, but they like are quite old. And if I understand correctly, as part of this sandbox, you actually get some of these nets which are like one of the latest. Let me actually see if how new these are. I cannot unfortunately show these on my computer because like it's internal Cisco access, or if you have like a contract you can get them, but let me see, somewhere I had it. Yeah, you just have an internal portal to download NSO stuff. So I'm right now checking Cisco IIS, for example. Yeah, so one of the latest is 5.3. Wait, am I looking in the incorrect place? How come there is 6.444? Okay, whatever. Who cares? Okay, so look here, software package, the sandbox may include newer versions. Okay, one of the included scripts is NSC setup, which makes it very easy to create NSO from local install. You can look at help. Go ahead and run this command to set up an NSO instance in the current directory. Use IS and NexusS, ISXR, and ASAnet. You will want to use the name of the folder using environmental variable. You can just stop. Okay. Is this variable even set? I could guess so. Yeah. Okay, so one of the things you have to set this environmental variable, and then we'll copy paste this. Okay, so I think what this will create is this will create CDB and some other files in this NSO instance directory. Let's check that we don't have it, which we don't. I'm running this. Yep, and then we have this folder. Okay. So there is the CDB, the logs, config file, packages. Let me see packages. Are those? Yeah. So one thing that is happening here is in this instance, you can see that those are symbolic links to these packages. And I now remember because we had a stream about NSO like 1.5 years ago. And like obviously like I don't know all of these tricks or something. I remember how I was copy pasting the packages that I downloaded to like NSO instance. So apparently you can link them at the NSC setup creation time. And I think there is some comments in the chat. Oh yeah, there is a bunch of stuff here. Let me go through them. While you install NSO, can tell us what's the difference between local and system install. Unfortunately I can't because I don't know, and there is some information here so you can go through this. I'm not an NSO expert, so I don't know what I'm doing. But there is Jumpy Dev in the chat answering some of these questions, which is Awesome. Thank you so much for helping out with the questions. Okay, let me see if there is something that was not addressed or requires my attention. Okay. I don't think you need me there, folks, in the chat. Thank you so much for assisting each other. All right. So we did this in ECS configuration file, packages and logs. Let me see if there are any logs already. You know, just to kind of understand what's going on. No, there aren't. Okay. I checked this. Now you need to start an NSO instance. Navigate to NSO instance directory, type command NCS. It will take a few seconds to run. You won't get any explicit output. Okay. Before we do that, I want to check what environmental variables are set. I think you need only the NCS dir. Yeah, I think so. Okay, so we go to NSO instance, and then we will just run NCS. Oh, wait, why did I do that? You run NCS minus status, okay. Minus status. How much RAM do you have? Okay, so there is 8 gigs of RAM. Okay, Jumpy Dev, thank you for following. Bummers that NSO Dev Days will be digital only this year. Last year was a really nice event. Dude, right now I'm thinking only about just getting through this freaking year. I am bummed about PyCon and Cisco Life as well. Just so sad. Okay, we are good here. So if I do NCS, if I remember correctly, you also do set up NCS home environmental variable, but I could be incorrect. Okay, so NSO/bin is binary is pointing here. Okay. So NCS status. Okay, so we are good here. How do you work at home? I really have problems on focusing my work. Dude, you are not alone. It's hard. Even though I have been working at home for quite a while now. But it's hard. Okay, it seems like oh, you can click on this. This is not very I don't see any indication that you can click on this. Okay. So with NSO running, now you need to add devices to its inventory. This enables NSO read and write data. NSO uses auth groups to set up credentials for device access. You will set up simple auth group for your network. So I remember doing that, and honestly, I honestly think this is so not intuitive. I don't know, it just feels weird. I just want to add device one by one with like host, username, password, or whatever is needed. And then if I need to do something repetitive, you know, I could like do like a simple script or something. But this was always confusing to me, to be honest. Right, so you enter in NSO instance, -C is for Cisco style, and then you will log in as admin. And you can use it from anywhere. Why can you use it from anywhere? Let me see where it's located. Oh. To me, what is confusing is this whole concept of auth groups. I think it's like some unnecessary complexity. What I would love to see is just, you know, just a simple like one-liner or something which allows you to add a device. Like you would say, you know, host, like you run it in like any netmiko, napalm, whatever, right? You do just say, here is host, username, password, and platform, and that's it in a single command. But maybe it's just me. Okay, so this NSO CLI is also in ASAv, so we should be good here. Okay, so let me copy paste this. Okay. And the switch, I want to rearrange this. So probably I will close these nodes. I don't think there is any need in them. And what if I do it like this? I could probably yeah, I think like this will be better. Okay, so config you set up a new group called lab admin. This group will use Cisco with secondary password of Cisco. Use the following commands. Okay. I think it's because of the space in the beginning. So let me remove that. How do you do column select? Oh, okay, cool. I don't know if this is you, Jason, but yeah, if this is Jason, then yeah, this space is gonna make it harder to do proper copy paste. Okay, so entering this configuration NSO stages it's not committed until you commit. Before you do so, return to the top of config mode and do show config. Oh, okay. No commit. Let's go. Can create as many outgroups across the network. Outgroup can leverage SNMP or certificates. So supports very powerful method of airbag. Okay. When you have your outgroup, add device, you'll need the following information: device IP address of FQDN, protocol, outgroup, net. Okay, let's go. Another thing that I want is that I will keep these nodes for myself and then I will copy paste them to so routing okay, add edge switch 1 using Cisco CLI, enter the phone configuration and so on. Okay, so let me copy this, and again this space issue. Okay, so device, this is just, I guess, a name. I don't think it's actually a host, it needs to be a host name. So this is an address. We reference this group. We say that we will use telnet. Why are you using telnet though? Okay, before jumping, let me go to here. I will try SSH. I think it should work either way. At least I really hope so. Interesting. Very interesting. Is it because of the key? It could be because of the key, yeah. It's because of the freaking key. Okay. try commute the run before commit for NSO special feature. Okay. I freeze because I'm thinking how you can solve this problem at the lab creation time, right? I don't know. I mean, you can just, I don't know, have an EM script which will do crypto key generator say when the device boots. Like when you have one of these messages, you can just do crypto key generator say, maybe. Another alternative is that you have like a custom script as part of the sandbox, so you load everything and then it goes on every device and just does it on every device where it's needed. Okay. Very nice feature, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so to be working with CLI, and this is like Yank tree for this. Okay. Okay. Use connect command to determine if you connect to device using NSO. Device is southbound locked. And so default mode for devices is a lock state that prevents NSO from manipulating device before the network admin is ready. This ability can also be used to disable a device that is currently in maintenance to prevent NSO from acting on it. Okay. Okay. This shows actual diff. It tries to database local node that would show modifications for device which is different from show config. Yeah, thank you. This is helpful. Now you just need to repeat the process for remaining devices, and there are a few options. You can manually type, you can use an API, you can query production system NSO server that has full device list already and save the output to a file. You can then use load merge command. This exercise will use the third option. If you're using a remote desktop which doesn't have internet access and are able to copy paste directly from this guide into the local install instance, feel free to do so instead of the process below. I would just follow the guide. I am lazy today. I just want to follow the guide. Okay, so now we connect to that production NSO. I think it's the same credentials as for the DevBox. Yep. We do NCS CLI -c -u admin. Would be good if I could type this correctly. So now you do show run device. Let's do just first show run. Okay, so this contains every, so I guess this contains also config for those devices, right? Under the config tree. Okay. Yeah, okay. And this, yeah, pretty handy. I can tell you guys. So show run device. So let's just do this. Okay, so now we only go through that tree, and then we have this config which contains the actual config of the devices, right? And then we just deselect it. That's pretty useful. Okay, so this is this config information, I guess. You can save it to a file in user's home directory on the DevBox. You can use vim, nano, whatever. Interesting. I will use this method because like I can copy paste it just to the console, but you know, it's good to know these different methods. So I just have this. So instead of copy pasting it here to CLI directly, I will just create a file here. Okay. Okay, so load merge. What was the file name? Please don't tell me that tilde is not expanded. Yeah, okay. So, and we do what? Commit try run. Yeah. Okay, we should be good. Show devices list. Okay, I will save this command. It seems like it's quite useful. Okay, and then finally make sure NSO can communicate with these devices by saying devices connect. I'm curious how connect how come previously we were using connect and it worked and now I need to do devices connect? Oh, I see now, because I am in the config tree for that device, right? So I can just use connect, but on the top level I need to use devices connect. Load merge terminal still king for us. We want to move to the API soon. Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. Production, we use custom package for device onboarding, which bundles multiple steps of the onboarding process together, which is configuration of the device, unlocking and fetching SSH keys, logging initial configuration, sync if there is unsupported config, and writing AAA rules for device access. Pretty neat stuff. CX wrote for us, and we extended afterwards. Yeah, that's awesome. There was some comments regarding -C and Juniper style. I mean, a lot of things, folks, are happening for the historical reasons, and I don't think it's like big of a deal. There is always this technical debt or some kind of historical baggage, if you will, that over time is really hard to overcome, right? Like, an interesting example would be something like iOS and iOS XE, right? Like, iOS has been around for what, 30 years now? Maybe like 25. And people are so used to it. And it has a lot of things which were written really long time ago, right? And because it's so mature, it's so hard to just get rid of them. So it's just the way it is in software dev, right? So let's see what happened here. Let's just double check that it's connected everywhere, which it seems it did. Actually, I have one thing that kind of bothers me, and I want to just double check. It says here CML 10, 10, 21, 161. I'm really curious if this is viral one or the newest one. I just really want to check. Is this viral too? Oh yeah, let's go. Let's go. Okay. This already uses a new, well, not viral too, it's called CMLP now, but that's nice. I don't think I know credentials for this though. $64 gigs, 12 vCPUs. I could try some password combinations that are used in these labs, but I don't know where I could potentially get this. Then DevBox NSO. No, it doesn't seem like there are any credentials here listed. Okay, I will try. So no. Someone in the chat says password is Juniper123. No, unfortunately my attempt to brute force this password didn't work out so well. Probably you can still find it somewhere. Maybe like somewhere on DevBox there is some kind of script which talks to CML. I know, guys, I'm sidetracked here, but I'm just having fun here, so I'm so sorry. Okay, so there is net NC client, netmiko, paramiko installed. I don't see here viral package. So I have, my idea was that maybe there was some kind of script on this dev box which would control the file. I don't know why I'm checking Ansible folder, but whatever. Right, this was not successful. And I know that probably the easiest way to get it is to ask Hank, but that would, that is not that interesting. All right, I think I'm ready to proceed. I had some fun just trying to brute force that password. We didn't get it, but it's fine. Okay, so now that we are connected, verify that there is no real device level configuration within NSO yet by looking at the device with show command. So you do show run devices device edge switch 01. Typing would be nice. Okay, and this is like, I guess, default net config or something. No ASAv. Wow. Okay. Yeah, so different nets have different state. There was show devices list. And let's see, ASXR, I think it was core router 1. I can't type today. Core RTR. Okay, so this one doesn't have anything. And there is, let's also check Nexus. I think it was distribution switch. Yeah, no feature telnet. Okay. So, okay, now we do sync from, this is what I discussed in the beginning, right? So now we want our CDB to be in sync with what is actually on the devices. So we do device sync from. And it will take some time. Sync from also has dry run option. Thanks, that's useful to know. Right, so now we have sync, I guess, and I guess if you just run this command again, yep. So now we have config from the device. I also wanted to check everything is using telnet. Holy hell. Okay. No Pancruz, thank you for following. Packet Ferret, thank you for subscription. I really appreciate your support, folks. Okay, SVI config. Okay, so this is pretty much all of the config of the devices. Let's do Edge switch 01. So this was running iOS 15.2 VRF. Hey Jumpy Dev, since you are, seems like you understand NSO pretty well, I have a question for you since I don't know. So do you mind explaining in the chat what is happening when net doesn't support particular line of configuration and how it like interferes with sync from and sync to? So I'm really curious about that. So let's say there is some line of the config. Let's say it is CDP run, right? Let's say this CDP run is not supported by the net, and CDP run is configured on the device. So what is going to happen when we do sync from and sync to? Well, I guess sync from kind of like okay, but what about sync to? Especially like, will it just delete that, or what's going to happen there? And is there a way to like somehow to like keep that from being deleted, I guess, when we want to do these idempotent things? Okay. Meanwhile, I'll be moving forward. So grouping devices together. Okay, we will create groups based on the platform. Okay, I think it makes sense to me since their config trees are different, right? And if you start building like some kind of templates or something, they will be like different based on the platform first. So yeah, I guess that makes sense. If NSO cannot read a part of the configuration, just logs that if you have a trace enabled and ignores it. If sync to, it just compares its own diff to this device configuration and does not understand the file, nothing will happen. So I guess I still don't understand the consequence of sync to. So let's say we did sync from, right? And there was CTP run in the config, but our net doesn't understand it, right? So yes, we log it, but it can be in CDB, right? So then when we do sync to, will that be deleted from the box? Or like, or it actually will do show run first on that box, will again take only lines that it understands, compares it to what is in CDB, and like will delete, like synchronized based on that without touching anything it doesn't know. Okay, now, okay, I think I see now. Because, okay, I had some, I guess, misconception about some of the things. I thought that in case of sync2, it will build the whole config, right? That it understands and then do something like configure replace. But it seems like it will actually do diff and then do like no for things and like, you know, I see now. Okay. Okay, so I guess this is useful, right? Well, because you don't want NSO deleting some of the things that it doesn't support. I see now. Do you also know like how does it deal with dependent configuration? Like typical example in iOS would be like VRF configuration, right? Like IP addresses and VRF. Or actually, this is not the best example, but there are definitely examples where like you configure something, right? And then another line of configuration depends on like some previous configuration. And I also saw some instances where not only that, but you actually need for like some service to activate before you can use some other configuration. Do you know how NSO deals with that type of things? I think to discover courage to be ever used at least in our environment. This dependency would have to be tracked or implemented by the net. Okay. All right. Thank you for some of the insights here. Okay, and you can also do here grouping of groups. Okay, let's do this. Config. You have Yank model, which models the data. So you could model a data dependency or the code that translates data entry to the device configuration in CLI case would have to take care of noticing that. Okay. Okay, so devices, device group, iOS devices checks sync, check sync. Okay. Okay, so now instead of devices, device, yes, I can use device group and then just put the group. So I guess I can do show running config devices device group. I think this will work as well. I hope so. Okay. This is not what exactly I expected, but okay. Okay, exploring the network with NSO CLI. You have it installed. Start by reviewing the full running configuration of the internet router 1. Okay, let's do that. Show run devices device RTR01 config. Okay, and is it running XR? No, it's running ASAv. Okay. 1611, very nice. Could you build a custom Yank data model and import it to support the missing function? And I will just, describe what I understand. Like, yes, but it's not enough, right? So if I understand correctly, these net packages, there is piece of Yang model, but I think there is also like part of the code which describes its relation to CLI. Like you need both. You can't just build Yank. Oh, Jumpy Dev is explaining the for small stuff. Jumpy Dev, tell me this, is this enough to just change Yang model for unsupported feature? Or you still need to write some additional code to like deal with this? Depends on the net type. Most of the time it is additional code. Yeah, I see. Yeah, this is what I would have guessed. Probably it would be a good idea to just go through, let's say, iOS net CLI, right? Through this net and actually see what it consists of. Okay, there is another question, and I think I know the answer, but Jumpy Dev can correct me if I'm wrong. So, and it's a very good question that definitely should be brought up on the stream. So, since we are talking about NSO, I would like to ask another question about it. How can I use its API to configure devices? Should I use RESTconf or NSO has its own API? I'm really confused since I have one SXR device and I couldn't figure out how to enable RESTconf in it. Having really hard times. So there are like two pieces of it. So there is NSO, and NSO itself is responsible for talking to the devices, right? And majority of nets, not all of them, but majority of nets are working with the device using CLI. However, there is definitely capability of NSO using netconf to connect to the device if that device supports it. I think you need to like do some additional stuff to make it work. Like someone was referring me to, I think, Pioneer or something, which has like an example how you connect to, yeah, you need like netconf net to connect to that. And then NSO itself exposes a number of APIs. So it exposes CLI, it exposes RESTconf API and netconf API, right? So you can now interact with NSO using those API. So let's say I'm running legacy iOS and it doesn't support netconf, and then NSO can still control it but you can expose NSO for your application, which will be still using API. For example, SXR can be managed by NSO either by CLI or via netconf. The two types of nets I'm aware of at the moment. Yep. Yeah, I think we are pretty much in line with our answers here. I think there was some work being done for ISXC netconf as well, but I haven't tried it. Like I was just browsing right now the like our internal repository of packages, and I see that there is Cisco ISXC netconf. The only thing is that it is not. I don't see it being updated. I actually don't know if it needs to be updated or not. Does it actually need to be update? Like I'm thinking of if I'm using netconf, right? So I'm already using some kind of AI model that is, let's say, native model, right? Like my understanding of that it needs like just a little bit of glue code to work with NSO, but I don't think it like needs to be re-released every yank or every time there is new version of Yang model, or am I incorrect there? Like my first feeling, because I have never used the netconf, but my first feeling is that if you're using all of those Yang models which are already on the device, why would we need to re-release our net package? There are also nets that translate Yang to Rust calls, mostly for firewalls, for example. Interesting. I'm really digging this deselect option, by the way. I think it would be also helpful if I connect to this box. Dmitry, have you covered SXR and its packages on the previous team? No, I did not, I'm sorry. No. Can I add it to future stream ideas? Sorry, probably no. What I think I will do at some point is exploring netconf with NSO. So I'm curious about netconf net, but like I'm not that interested in specific platforms, to be honest. Interesting that this has no switch port here, right? Even though it's a router, right? So yeah, it's kind of like it's part of the NSO net, right? But it's not even on the router because it doesn't have any switch ports. Interesting that there are like that there are like small things like this which you can find. I mean, the problem here is that there aren't many features here on this box right now, so it's not like you can check. Yeah, I mean, what I would probably do is take one of my production, let's say CSRs, right? Not the lab one, but I don't know, my border or something, whatever. My BNG or whatever. I would take that config and see how it's interpreted in NSO. Because on this box there is nothing really. There are some interfaces, credentials, and some static route. Like, so it's kind of like obvious that this better works, right? So yeah. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so interfaces config, so you can pretty much filter any tree you want. There is even display JSON. I saw this kind of CLI somewhere. Okay. One other kind of like thing that got my attention here is where is this? So you can see that, well, this is how it's called, Yang model prefix, right? And this is container, yeah, it's container name. So it's container plus module prefix. The reason like I find this interesting is that it seems like we have this big syscIS and then it's divided into it's not just one big net, right? It seems like it's on per feature basis here. Let me do the same thing, but without interface. Like all these top level things actually have its prefix here. Interesting. Okay. It's one net, but a lot of models. Okay. Okay, let's keep going. Let's try a new device, this time Nexus, and we'll check VLAN interfaces. This is also kind of interesting here. Can I even see what I want to show you guys? No, it's kind of the same. Yeah, I was thinking that in iOS you actually have loopback 1, loopback 0, because what this does, I want to display this as JSON or XML. Let's just do XML. You can see that on both Nexus and on iOS, in both of these nets, I'm actually curious how it's implemented. Like, I don't even know how to put it in words, but we have this tree called interface, right? It's referring to this model. But under this, in this module, we see that we have groups of based on the interface type. And then as separate thing, we have a name. However, on CLI, this looks like a single thing, right? It looks like VLAN 1 or VLAN 101. Ouch. Oh, it still works. Let me run this again. So devices name config. The same thing here. You can see that this actually is ARN or is AR. No, they are grouped. Yeah, so they are part of different groups. I mean, that's very interesting to me. Okay, let me see the chat. You might be able to take a look at the models and packages folder, so it's Yank folder for the net. You can do the same for NSO application. It's entirely modeled in Yank. There are a lot of TLFs in NCS specific parameters that can be set in the models that have to do with CLI behavior. You can specifically say if something should be shown, etc. Yeah, I would have to explore that more, but this is something that got my attention here. Like something like this should be somehow very explicitly declared that, like, on CLI I have this, right? I have this string, right? But here we are actually grouping those interfaces based on the interface type, right? Like that is not as straightforward as one might think. So okay, you can also use wildcard. That's interesting. That's some cool stuff here. I'm only at stage 5 here, at page 5. There are 10 total. Okay. Now that you have seen how to read config, let's see how you can update config. So always start as in CLI, go into config mode. Okay. From here you can change configuration for anything in this. So, but for this exercise you'll be updating a single device configuration. So you need to navigate to that device. Okay. Devices, device, dist switch 01. Probably I should also connect to that device. I actually do it from here. think it was Nexus. Yeah, it's Nexus. Let me also rename this. So this was distribution switch 1, and this was edge switch 1. Cool. Okay. We have to go back. Devices, device, this switch 01. Remember from previous exercises that under config section, yeah, okay, cool. Sometimes that is pain in the ass for code. Some devices split these interfaces in, say, interface type and interface name, as you just saw there. Other don't. Yeah, I can imagine, dude. I have been working with netconf for a while, and I can understand. I can feel that frustration. There are also very interesting consequences of structure some of the Yang models. So there is one big limitation in netconf, is that you cannot apply operation replace on lists and leaf lists. And depending how your vendor build Yang model for their config, right? Some feature, like some things you cannot replace easily. So example, if you don't have a container loopback, if you don't have container loopback, then you cannot manage all loopbacks with the same operation replace command. So stuff like this. So this would actually be the case here. So even though they are kind of like separated, but it seems like they are not in a separate containers. They are like top level lists there. So the end result of this would be that you cannot, let's say, replace all loopbacks at once or something like this. There is some weird stuff and strange limitations which are affected, which go into play when, depending on your Yang structure. Really painful stuff. Right. Now you are ready to make config change for better configuration change that adding a VLAN in an interface. Speaking of this, like, I mean, I have no problem with this kind of things, but I'm trying to select correct words. But at least for what I do, changes like this are actually pretty rare, right? Like, I don't know, I create VLAN and then I have some spanning tree configuration associated with this. I may have some SVI configuration with, I don't know, HSRP and, I don't know, DRF and maybe helper address or something. Like, there is a bunch of stuff that is going on in the devices. And this is not only problem of this guide, and I understand that like you have to start somewhere, but I'm really And in this case, it would also doesn't matter, right? Like you can put this additional config there, no problem. Where I have a problem, where Ansible guys show these examples with idempotent configuration. Like they will show you, oh, we have those, what they call right now, resource modules called IS VLAN or IS interface, where you can create a new VLAN idempotently. So you can say, oh, here is a VLAN I want to have on the network device and the rest is going to be deleted. Yeah, cool. Yes, you can deal with, let's say, this piece. And then they say, oh, we also have this IS interface where you can do the same thing. The thing is that, yes, you can do this, but you cannot do anything more than that. So let's say, as I mentioned, you want, I don't know, HSRP config on that interface, right? And also you want all of that managed idempotently. You will not be able to use that module anymore. Because that feature is not implemented in that module. And what do you do next? Well, you pretty much fall back to Jinja and I don't know, some config, well, you will have to go back to your full config replace if you would still want to use Ansible idempotently. So you have to build every single piece. You need to define every single feature you want in your Jinja template or whatever, and then you can use configure replace. But then what's the value of those resource modules? So yeah, I mean, again, in this case it's fine because like if I add additional config here, it will not matter that much. Maybe I will actually go ahead and do it right now. The only problem is that I need to see the Yang model to do it correctly. You know what? I actually want to go ahead and do it. Okay, so now I will have to find it. It's just, yeah, with those, you have to be really careful with those kind of things. Like I really have a, I wouldn't call it a beef, but I look at these resource modules and like they're like, oh, look at this is so great. The second you start using them and apply to your business problems, it's not going to go well for you. Maybe only for some place, like creating VLANs. And only the reason why is that there is almost no config under the VLAN. So like you barely configure anything under the VLAN. So those are my 2 cents. Ansible is a great tool, but we hit a wall very quickly due to the limitation of the modules. My view may be skewed, but I think idempotent functionality needs to be delivered by network OS, not the tools. Yes, I would agree with you. And this is what netconf allows you to do, to manage majority features idempotently, which is pretty nice. So that's why I kind of like, I keep pushing everyone to use netconf. Yes, and I agree with you. It's just, I don't know how to even put it in words. It's just, I feel that promoting those kind of things and saying we solved this problem, it's a very big misinformation. For immature nets, this is the same problem, but the good part is you just open tag case with a good description of that configuration and you get the fix 2 weeks after. Yeah, this is what I heard as well. And that's awesome. I was also talking to Hank, who is developer, well, he's not developer advocate anymore. He's DevNet data center engineer. So he's in charge of the sandbox. And this is also like a feedback that he gave to me, like, you know, every so often there wasn't something very specific to their environment, which because they're using NSO, by the way, to manage all of the DevNet sandbox. And sometimes they were stumbling upon the features that are not supported in Nets. And his experience was very similar. Like, he was talking to those guys, and a couple of weeks later they implemented in Net. But even if, like, if it wasn't the case, like, compare coverage of any net of NSO, or even nodes for Cisco devices, right? And you will get much more wider functionality than resource module in Ansible. That's for sure. It's like you cannot even compare those two. Because, like, in something like iOS interface for Ansible, you only get, like, what, 4 pieces of configuration. Like, you get an IP address, if it's shut down or not, its description. I think for, like, switch ports, you can do some additional things, like what is the VLAN assigned there, and that's pretty much it. The good part is you get exactly the feature set that any customer ever used before with NSO. Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I actually think that, and of course, like, every product or has some kind of downsides or whatever. You know, some things that work and some things that kind of like don't work the way you expect. But generally speaking, I'm really excited about technical capability of NSO, and like how they approach this whole problem of network configuration management. I think their approach is good. Unfortunately, they still had to rely on CLI in majority of cases. But hopefully we'll see more adoption of netconf, and netconf at some point could dominate that space and it will become much easier. But I am, and I know that NSO is like not very easy, right? But as I said, like, I'm always impressed by the work that they have done, and how they approach these different things. Let me see the chat. What is really hard is if Cisco has no idea about the device and you need a net for that. We had that case for firewalls. You basically had to babysit the developer. The good part is you get exactly the feature set that any customer ever used. Very few problems are super unique, and so it's amazing, but you get a good price for it. Pretty much my summary. So you better use it extensively and you have a business case. Yeah, makes total sense for me. Right, so what I wanted to do was I wanted to add some additional config here to extend this example a little bit. And to do that, I need to see the Young model. First of all, is this Nexus device? Yeah, it's Nexus device. The easiest way would be for me to configure something here on the SVI. Is there like... That's another problem. I don't know Nexus CLI. Hello? No, this doesn't work this way. Please don't say that I need... Okay, so PDHP Do I need a feature DHCP for that? It's easier to find out about. Oh, interesting. So you can play around with autocomplete in the CLI. That is easier to find out about feature set than browsing the Yang model, which uses a lot of grouping and stuff. Interesting. Yeah, that's a big brain moment there. Thank you. I still want to like at least have idea of this command, like so I guess this will work now. Yeah, okay. So I needed feature DHCP. Okay. Now the only problem right now is that the sync from will fail. Another interesting piece that I would like to see. Is there, yeah, feature, yeah, okay. So I forgot how you do sync from already. Is it devices, sync from? I forgot dry run. Devices, device sync from. Oh no, that why would sync from fail? No, I just what I meant to say that the config is not in sync, so I have to sync it again, right? So if I do show config, no, show run, I'm not really used to the CLI yet, but I'm getting there. I made this mistake at least 4 times today. Okay, so I have this feature DHCP here. So okay, so you suggested that I go to the devices, this switch 0201, and I say, I'm also very curious about, okay, I will try this as well. So we know that this DHCP thing, right, requires a feature to be enabled. So I'm curious what will happen on switch 2 when where I don't have feature DHCP configured. That could be very useful test. Okay. By the way, will this work without exit? Okay, and I want to I want to be on that level to find config. I didn't say config, of course. Okay, so now I want to find this feature. Wow, to be honest, that's cool. Like that they have this auto-completion from the Yang model. I kind of didn't even think about it, but now it makes total sense. That's just cool. Okay, so I can put whatever IP address I want here, doesn't matter. I just want to like test. And I keep saying top end instead of top. Okay, and you said show config try run? No. Commit try run, yes, commit try run. Entire CLI is just another Yang model. You can find that in NCS SRC folder. Yeah, yeah, I will. I remember on some of my first streams, I was actually exploring that. Cool. Yeah, so we have this. You know what? Let's at least take a look at that quickly. Let me see what I need. I don't remember if I have Yank plugin installed. What is this DevBox IP address? Let's see. 10, 10, 20, 50, 10, 10, 20, 50. Okay, this okay, folks, give me a second. I will check my SSH config file. I'm an idiot. Let's try this one more time. It should be developer. Okay. Let's try this. Hold on. Okay, and we can explore this. Probably I should first explore it a little bit on CLI. So I guess it's in NSO packages. Oh, NSO CRS. I don't know what I want, to be honest, so I'm I just want to see what is there. Okay, I don't think this is what I need, right? So this is just describes how, like, this is Yang model of NSO itself, correct? So like, this is what would you use to connect to netconf. But I guess I need to understand the CLI pieces actually to go to packages, right? I suspect. And maybe. Let's just open here NSO folder and then we will browse. Can you stop asking me for password, please? Okay, so packages, nets, let's go Nexus, source, yank, misclicked. Interesting, what is this XCL file? I'm so sorry folks, but I don't know, for me this kind of like internal details are the most interesting whenever I learn something new. This is pretty hard to read, unfortunately. It's like, I don't know, some kind of template, but I'm not sure what it really does. They also use TextFSM internally in some places. That's very interesting. It's a bunch of stuff. Holy hell. Okay, I guess we'll just check the Yang model and that's it. It's just too much. This thing, holy hell. Okay, can I? Oh, okay, this works. So this is super useful. I'm quite familiar with reading Yang files, but this ability to minimize this, like, it's probably the key to effective reading of the relay. I'm curious if there a way to leave if you could like shrink everything except of this would be the best. RIP. I don't see it. Okay. Probably I should also enable what map. Map could help. Fault. Control Shift left square bracket. Okay. Okay, this is super cool. Okay, so DHCP relay. Yeah, it will take time for me if I really want to go through that. DHCP relay and then list address. And I guess this can be like list address. Why it's a list? Oh. Whatever. I'm also curious about list VLAN. Here, interface VLAN star. This, so remember I was showing you this. So if I do, by the way, I can commute it right now. So if I do show config, show run device, let's do the same switch, yes, and do interface. Config, of course. These commands can get pretty lengthy. Remember I was covering this like interface type. There is this this same problem here, by the way. You can see that VLAN, which we see right here, yeah, it's a list. So the consequence of this is that on this level, you cannot do a netconf operation replace. So you cannot idempotently change only all VLANs. So the only way you can do that is if you go to level higher, which I guess would be what, container interface, I guess. Yeah, so here. So you cannot do it on the VLAN level, you will have to go to level higher. So in this case, on this container. So what this means is that you will be able to do operation replace on all interfaces, but not only on VLANs. There you see the tail F CLI display joint feature. I'm sorry, I'm not sure what you mean. Display, oh, display and join. I still kind of like don't understand what this means. Right, so let's go back to distribution switch 1. Yeah, and we do show run. We could do show run interface VLAN. So now in this VLAN, not only we have this IP address, but we also have this DHCP relay, right? And since I was bringing Ansible to kind of like, you know, just for lulz, let's do to Ansible docs. I think you'll have to select devel docs. Did they change some of this? I don't know, by the way, where docs live right now for the modules, since they're not part of the core anymore. It could be in Galaxy now. Let's try Ansible devel IS interface, or just for, you know, to be fair, let's go Nexus OS interface. Okay, maybe there is like some other thing, like, because it says here deprecated, right? But I don't know where it lives right now, so I will assume this is like what they have, and we will go through this feature, right? And yes, there is some more than like IP address, enable disable IP forwarding on SVI, name neighbors, LDP neighbors, and then provider. Like, just maybe I think I need what, L3 interface, yes? Nexus OS L3 interface, because, you know, I just don't want to bash Ansible for no reason. I want to bash it for right reasons. It also says deprecated. I don't know where non-deprecated version lives right now, but okay, whatever. I don't think that like non-deprecated version will contain more than this, right? Let's see what they have. Aggregate IPv4, IPv6 name. There isn't even a freaking description here, right? So, like, you know, how often do you, the only thing that you need is configure freaking IP address on the interface. What about all of your interface features, right? Like DHCP relay. What about HSRP? What about QoS? What about NAT? What about all of this other stuff, right? The second you need any of this, the use of this is zero, null. There is no value in this. All vendor modules are moving out of Ansible core. Yeah, I know that. It's just I don't know like how to find them right now. And this is also the thing. Right now they're called resource modules, this kind of stuff. And those are either already or going to be Red Hat supported things. So they will be like in charge of these modules together with the vendor, right? Like, yeah. But you folks know how much I love Ansible, so. Let me know if you disagree with me. Alright, let's go back to our stuff. So that's very good that I was able to, you know, I needed, let's say, DHCP relay here for SVI. An example didn't have it, and we were able to find this. There's comment in the chat that I want to address. To be fair, it's very easy to extend the modules to cover the gaps. I guess I disagree. And there are a couple of reasons for that. First, majority of those modules contain spaghetti code with a bunch of regex expressions directly in the freaking code. I remember like I was debugging some ISFAX problem or something. Like that was horror. I still have nightmares up to this date when I see that code. This first piece. Second piece, any change that you do in the module, like unless you have already decent experience with developing for Ansible, for like Ansible modules or for some of this plugin infrastructure, it's not that easy to debug this properly, especially compared to just Python code. There are like ways to debug it, and they have like guides for it, but still it's not super simple. And then last but not the least, those kind of modules exist for at least 2.5 years, and the fact that they don't grow significantly in functionality means that no one does that. So it can be, even if it's easy but no one does that, then what's the value? Jumpy Dev, I'll be heading out. See you soon. Thanks for the stream. Thank you so much for joining, Jumpy, and for providing your expertise on the stream. That was very helpful that you answered a lot of questions. Thank you for your support. Hi, Fan. How are you doing, Dmitry? I'm doing all right. I mean, particularly in this stream, I'm doing all right. In general, I'm still like stressed about this whole situation in the world. How are you doing? Okay, so we dealt with this in the same boat as you, I guess. Yeah, man, it's tough time. It's tough time. Okay, so we dealt with this. We committed this configuration. Suppose you were preparing for a large automation project and you wanted to make this change using netcon or restconf API for NSO. You can preview XML version of this new configuration using display XML option to see complete payload of for in RPC edit. Yeah, about that, it would be helpful if I didn't commit this. Is there a way to how do you roll back? NSO rollback? Pretty sure there is like a way to see that. Could try finding this in CLI. Is there like show rollback status? No, I guess I need like show commits. No. Show configuration commit list. Come on. Show configuration. No. Oh, yeah, never mind. It would be good to run these commands on NSO itself. That would be super helpful. So show configuration commit list. Changes. Okay, so this was the last one. Div. Okay, so this is this commit. So if I go back to 10,016, so let's try. Or I can just put 7. I don't think it's, maybe show config. No, commit dry run. Yeah. So this will remove everything. Let's do this. Okay, I think I need to copy these things. So config devices device this switch 01 config. Okay, config device, and here will be rollback commits. So I think I started with show configuration commit, I think. Okay, so after my change, we should no longer see the VLAN 42, which we don't. Okay, this is perfect. So now I can go back and configure device once again. Device. Okay, then I copy paste this. Okay, and then we go back to our guide and see what's going on there. Okay, suppose you were prepared for a larger automation project and you want to do it via netcon or RESTcon. So I can do show config, let's do top, show config, So these are my stage changes, and I can do show config. I can do commit dry run. This will show to me this kind of like tree-like configuration, and now I can do show config display XML, and I can even you know what? I actually will copy this. We are not doing great on time, by the way, boy. I will save this. Example config with XML. So I guess if I use this, yeah, payload in netconf, this should allow me to make this change using netconf. Okay. Before you're ready to commit this to the network, you may want to know what will NSO actually send to your device. You can use dry run thing. So commit dry run out format native. Also save this. This is very weird looking config. Can also do commit dry run out format tab for options, which is pretty interesting. Yeah, thank you. Know that you work for Cisco, but I wanted to be a network automation engineer in the future, whatever that means. How much of Cisco automation stuff do I need to know? And so, for example, fun. I don't have a good answer to this question, to be honest. I think that focusing on specific tools is less beneficial than focusing on something that can be reused widely. So I would suggest focusing on the following areas. Python, then good understanding of REST APIs, both using them and building them. Then understanding netconf, RESTconf, ideally with like different vendors. Then, well, something like Git, obviously, and on top of it, maybe some CI, CD, like GitLab CI or GitHub Actions. What else? And only after that I would suggest, like only after you cover some of these areas, probably I missed something, only after that I would suggest to like focus more on the specific tools. And don't get me wrong, like I feel like NSO is really powerful and really great product. However, will every company be using that? No, not really. The like only a fraction of customers is ready to commit to NSO today, which is fine. So it doesn't mean that the product is bad. It's just or like it's not worth learning, because I definitely think it has some concepts implemented amazing, and it does something that no one else is really doing. But again, it goes to like its popularity as well, right? So probably also knowing Ansible could be good. And even though I think it's honestly a crap tool, it's popular, right? So you know, if you put Ansible on your CV, it makes it a little bit easier to like find some kind of network automation job. There's comment in chat that suggests you begin the automation journey outside of NSO. There is a lot of technical overhead related to NSO that isn't portable to other automation technology. Start with Python, take a peek at frameworks like Ansible, Norniers, and engage with NSO. Yep, you pretty much sum up in 2 sentences what I was trying to say during the last 5 minutes. Yeah, NSO is very powerful and I think it's great, but besides also its popularity, it has a very big technological stack. Like, it's not a tool that you can, after 2 hours of playing with, become an expert in. Definitely not. Like, learning automation framework like Ansible will let you enter a team and pick up where everyone is. Yeah, I guess so. It's very good that at my current job no one is asked. Well, I can make whatever decisions I want. That's why I have 0 Ansible. Well, actually that's not true. I still use some Ansible for server provisioning, but I don't use it at all for network automation. So and yeah, I guess I would have a really hard time if someone offered me a job where I didn't have a choice. Like, I did my fair share of Ansible, I don't want to do it anymore. I had enough. It's what only has a few Dmitry, like people, some of us need frameworks. Thank you for kind words, but I don't feel that way. It's like I'm using Nornier. Well, sometimes I'm using Nornier, sometimes I don't. And I honestly feel that something like Nornier is the proper level of abstraction that you need to build automation. It gives you enough. It simplifies some things enough for you to have like an easy-ish entry. As well as gives you almost unlimited flexibility in what exactly you are trying to build. But maybe I'm just biased because I'm one of the maintainers of the project. I think guys, I'm already on the path you suggested, just wondering how popular this stuff is. Because of the amazing marketing Cisco is doing for this stuff, make you feel left out if I didn't know it. So fun, it's again, like I'm trying to explain my point of view a little bit. Something like NSO has also very interesting history, right? NSO was tail F. It was produced by tail F, and then Cisco bought tail F, right? And for years, the primary use case of NSO was primary users of NSO users were SPs, right? And obviously I cannot share with you like who it uses that or not, but in SP world, NSO was very, very, well, it still is very popular product. Okay. However, again, because of some historical reasons, it was almost unknown in the rest of the industries, the rest of like, I don't know, enterprises. And it's only now being changed, like the messaging and the capabilities are being tailored for enterprise customers as well. So I believe you'll start seeing more and more NSO in enterprises. But is it currently being used by, a lot of enterprises? Probably not. at the same time, I also think it's something that worth learning. It's just with something like NSO, there is entry barrier with like knowledge that you need to have before you like go into that, because you can start learning NSO a little bit too early, and you may find yourself that you are confused, you are in this ocean and you're drowning, right? Because there is like so many different things. So I feel like it's very useful to learn it, even if you don't end up using it. It may help you a lot with understanding how good network automation tool looks like, how to interact with Yang on more intimate level, I guess, because like in NSO everything is Yang, and like at one point or another you will have to learn Yang to a point where you can read any Yang file or something. So using it and learning it is, I think, is very useful. It's just should not be your first step in doing network automation, I guess. I hope I'm making some sense here. And I can tell you, like, I'm still not, like, I know maybe like 5% of NSO and like its capabilities. Like, I don't have enough hands-on knowledge for it. And but I am, whenever I'm using it, I'm very excited about like learning some of these pieces. You know, like we have been going through this 5 pages of guide for 2.5 hours now. And because I find something interesting and I keep digging in that direction, and I'm, learning more and more of these like technical details, and that part is something that I really like. There is I don't have a lot of bot commands, but I think the Twitch changed their UI, so we have some uptime on the near viewers count right now. Okay, so if I go now back to this distribution switch, we should have this VLAN back, which we do. What the hell has happened? Oh, right, yeah. Let me roll back this. Show configuration, commit list, and we'll do config rollback configuration. Yes, about that. I forgot to add the DHCP helper and I want to add it back. Okay, so we did a rollback. Let's commit this. And let's go back here. We'll okay, and then it was AP DHCP relay address 1234. Enter. Okay. Excuse me. Okay. So I will add it here. Yes. Okay. Now I wanted to check if I applied this configuration now on distribution switch 2, which does not have a DHCP feature DHCP configured. So if I go to show run devices, device distribution switch 02 config, this doesn't have featured DHCP. So I'm curious what will happen if we apply this config now there. So I do config and I say devices, device, distribution, switch to config. So let's apply this. Okay, I have this relay. I have featured DHCP here. Okay, so yeah, let's do this. The same thing. Let's copy this, paste, and let's do again commit dry run. Okay, so these are a configuration that is going to be added. Probably it would be good if I put different IP address just in case I may be in trouble for using the same IP address. Cancel. Okay, and let's do commit dry run. Okay, so now we have this IP address, and I'm curious what will happen right now. So I guess commit should fail unless Nexus automatically applies yeah, external error in the net implementation for device distribution switch to command. Yeah, very interesting. Okay, so is there some kind of logs now that I want to see logs if there are any? Well, I don't know which log I should look for. Devil maybe, or audit, maybe audit. Maybe those are not even correct logs, I don't know, guys. Let's do devil. Yeah, those are like local CDB stuff. It could be also like var log or something. Oh wow. I think it's like oh, I cannot leave this. Ouch. Okay, this is unfortunate. Okay, maybe there is something in var log. I don't see here anything related to NSO. Maybe there is log from inside NSO. Okay, so it also doesn't allow me to right now leave the commit thing because this commit failed, so we can't keep it in the database. External error in the net implementation. Okay, so if I do feature DHCP, okay, and I do commit dry run. Okay, so now I add feature here, and now I do commit. And I forgot what is the IP address of that guy. So I exit this and show devices list, I think it was. This is this IP address, so let's connect there. And it's Cisco shall run. Okay, now we have featured DHCP, and we have this configuration there with the relay. Okay, very cool. Okay, so yeah, I was very curious what will happen if like some configuration doesn't work together, right? In this case, you just get this error on the commit stage, so it doesn't allow you to commit this. Okay, cool. So let's move forward. Rolling back configuration. Okay, we can roll back on this device. Let's see what it takes to roll back, even though like I already did some rollback. So show configuration. I didn't use this command, so it could be good to have it in my notes. Okay. So this is what is going to be applied if I roll back this. Now let's load up these changes. Oh, you can just go to config and say rollback configuration. Interesting. And then if I do commit dry run, I can do out format XML. It's the native. Okay, so native device name data, no featured DHCP, no VLAN. I'm not really in favor of that. I think I like this kind of stuff more, these brackets. Okay, so featured DHCP done, VLAN done, interface done, and then you do commit. Okay, we are at 2 hours 43 minutes on recording. I think we're good. We can take it to like 3 hours 20 minutes, I think. It would be okay. Okay, but we are only on page 5 out of 10. Templates and live status. In the previous example, we looked at managing configuration per device. Now we can use device templates. Okay, let's do that. Device template set DNS server. I will minimize that. Okay, next piece. Device template. Well, I really hope that there is example with netconf for restconf here. This is what like I'm the most curious about, to be honest. Okay, so devices template set DNS server, and they suggest here is that we identify net and then add configuration for that net. See what this looks like in NSO. Note that NSO takes the input of 2 different name servers, combines them into a list object within CDB. Okay. Okay, so this is just defining a template. We are not applying it anywhere as of now. So if I do show config, this is what we have. I think if I do commit dry run, yeah, it's you can see that it's being applied locally, so it's not like being applied to interface. So those templates are like local to the NSO instance. Mikhail Kritsky, thank you for following. Okay, test template. So first we committed. Okay. Now let's test out the template on a Nexus device. Do a show devices list. Okay. Okay. To be honest, I want to apply this per group instead of per switch. So I will copy this command here, but I am not going to use it. I want to do it per group. So I think we had you do it devices, device group, and we have Nexus. Okay, so there are no DNS here, there are no DNS servers here. There is nothing here as well. So devices, device group, Nexus, so as devices. Apply template, template name, set DNS server, tell NSO to apply the template to distribution switch 2. Okay, cool. So we are applying this, but this is not, we still need to commit this, right? Yeah, so if I do show configuration, we are applying config onto devices now. I want to copy and save this command just for my reference. Looks good, but you're not done yet on stage. On stage changes using revert. You will now update the template to support IS and ASA devices as well. Enter this configuration in NSO. Okay. So I guess, yeah, if you do revert, you just get rid of everything. Okay, I will copy paste this whole thing here. These multiple exits are, do we really need this multiple exits though? Maybe. Yeah, I think we'll need them. So exits, ASA template, ISXR template. Okay. Okay, this didn't work out so well. We need to get rid of spaces. Okay. So if you do commit, try run. Okay. So we're now applying on top of the Nexus, we are now applying these changes to XR, ASA, and iOS. Cool. Now we save this. Perfect. And now we apply this for the group all. Okay, so instead of these, I use the same thing, but I say all. And I think we could also go to this guy. So we have IS router, and I have 2 Nexus switches. I have some other devices, but I don't want to connect to them. This connection is frozen, by the way. Okay, so if that succeeds, we should have these DNS servers configured here. Right, let's go and configure this now. Cool. So this should result in a bunch of configuration on every single device. So core router 1, core router 2, distribution router 1, distribution router 2, distribution switch 1, distribution switch 2, and firewalls. So different configuration is applied for different operating system. So now we do what? Devices. Oh, why am I writing this if I can just do it from here? Oh, no, hold on, I just do commit. This is what I do. So do commit, and it should be applied everywhere, hopefully, and it should be good. And we are. So as a result of this thing, we now have DNS servers here, we have DNS servers here, and we have DNS servers here. Awesome, perfect. And interesting piece of this, so what we have done so far like didn't involve any programming at all, right? So that's could be pretty useful. But the benefit is that you're now dealing with configuration of all of your network devices from a central place. Okay. Platform information. Basic platform information. As part of initial connection to device, and NSO queries device for its model, serial, version. Okay, so this is like alternative to fax. So yeah, let's I think I will just save it for now. Platform details. Okay. Okay, so this is platform, version, serial number. Curious what it will do for iOS devices. Will it also parse that as well? So I guess this is where those text FSM templates that we saw are coming into play. I think Internet Router 1 is running iOS. Yeah. So this is where they're using text FSM templates that we saw as part of the net to get some of these details. And you can filter this, like just serial number. You can use wildcard to retrieve all of the serial number of all of your devices. Interesting. Let me try this. So show devices. Device platform serial number. This is pretty Pretty cool. It's funny how router 01 says NA and router 02 says unknown. That's amazing. But in this case, the actual serial number for the SXR platform is NA. We can log into router and check this. Yeah, I could, I just don't want to. Isn't this cool? Like, I'm curious if you can combine can you do like this? Yeah, probably you can do it somehow like that or that. But just, you know, checking something like this across your network is pretty nice. Devices have a live status or part of the model that indicates details that NSO will read from the device at the time of execution rather than pull from CDB. Let's check the current status of the port channel on the device. Okay, this is something that I did not know even existed in NSO. So you can pull some operational statistics like this or like this from the devices using NSO. Okay. That's pretty nice. I'm curious how, if I go to this switch and I do show port channel, summary, like how is this different? Well, it's pretty different. You can view routing table similar way. Show devices, device distribution, switch 01, live status, IP route. I'm curious what are the options. L2 route, forwarding interface, MAC, port channel, system VLAN. Yeah, it's not much. But still, like, you get some of these things for free. Nah, for free would be incorrect word here, but I just didn't know that this functionality even existed. So I always thought it was config only, but apparently there are some other things here. Very interesting. Okay, I will save this. Okay. Live status and arbitrary commands, but occasionally the net may not support specific configuration segment or operational data you are looking for. When this happens, you can open support ticket and NS will be updated. These updates often only take a few days to be vetted, tested, implemented by Cisco and updated NS may be available to customer. However, for immediate needs, live status supports sending arbitrary commands to a network device and returning the result. Okay, so if you can use exec and you will get exactly what you're looking for. So if I do exec show license, let's just do port channel summary. Okay, I don't understand. Oh, it's not show. Okay, I see now. I'm like, why is it not working? It's not show command. That's nice. How about we change this to port channel summary, and then I want to do it on, is it port minus channel? Yeah, it's port minus channel. Okay, so what if I do device group here for Nexus? It could Nexus OS. It may not allow me to do this. Yeah, like on the group, yeah, you can do live status. Okay. I don't get what any means. Execute any command on the switch, or show to execute show commands. Okay. Okay, I may need to save this as well to like have this reference somewhere. Use the wildcard to run the same against all. Oh, okay, so I could actually do it, but I cannot use group here. Okay. You can use live status with device groups because group of devices could leverage different nets. Okay. Okay, I guess I will also need to save this. Okay. Often you need to gather data for like later processing or to share with someone, and NSO enables you to save command output to a file. Okay, let's try this as well. So I can use save Nexus packet thread heading out. Thanks for this team. Thank you so much for joining. Have a nice Sunday, an easy working week. Nexus port. I can say Nexus lag. No, lag. Nexus lag. That would not be great. I can just do EC. Yeah, let's just do port channel txt. Okay. And interesting, I don't see this file. Is it in the instance folder? It could be in the instance folder. It is not in A there. I think I need to provide a full pass there. Okay, and here we have output from both devices. Perfect. Cool. Okay, this was completely new thing for me, this page. Like, I've never seen this before. Okay, we have only 3 things left. How are we doing on time? So it's 3 hours 6 minutes. Yeah, I think, well, hopefully we'll be able to to go through it. Okay. This exercise will ensure that the following network features are configured as desired across all devices in our network. Okay, so this is compliance piece. Technique used in this example could be used for any config. We will use device templates and compliance reports. So building device templates that contains desired configuration to test. Building compliance report, we will check configuration of a group of devices against template. First, create device template with the desired configuration for features. You will use commands in the following code log. Okay, so let me copy all of this. And we are only applying these to, oh no, it's on not the same net. So we have DNS, like timestamps, logging, NTB. On Nexus we have the same thing, it's just configuration slightly different. And the same thing on ASA. So I'm just going and applying it. This template is called, and we will not be saving this. I need to get rid of spaces here. Okay. Cool. So I have this template. Let's do commit dry run. Okay, so we are applying this config. So name Nexus DNS NTP logging timestamps, IS timestamps, DNS logging NTP, and here on ASA it's logging NTP DNS. Okay. Okay, and then we commit this. Let's go. Okay, the second thing is building compliance report. Compliance report simply compare a given template to a group of devices. So configuration is pretty simple. You can use HTML, Bash, XML format. XML is default because the results are likely very verbose. Not something the engineer likely wants to see until either saved as a file located the folder state compliance reports. NSO runs a web server, so these reports are available by navigating to the URL, or you can find them by navigating to folders on your server. Okay. So I will save this. Compliance. Okay, so I guess I just apply this and let's do commit dry run and commit this. Okay, so I have it now committed, and then we have to run this from enable mode. You run this, you say compliance reports report compliance check, and then run out format text and then HTML. Okay, Is your preferred text editor such as Vim or Nano? Open the text version of the report located in the state compliance report directory. Okay, first I have to save this to make sure I don't lose all of these nodes. Okay, second, I need to change directory here. State compliance report. Wait, what did I do? Okay, and we have text file and we have HTML file. So text compliance resulting in violations, checking if devices, no services, template discrepancies, and then and then we see the difference for this compliance. Okay, cool. In the details section you will find device by device breakdown. This is shown in div format where lines plus and minus. Okay. And even though there are different CLI devices types, NSO standardizes the native configuration to uniform data model. All right. Okay, so now we applying this template in the config, of course. So we're applying this template to all devices. We do commit dry run again. Okay, so we are going to reconfigure all of our devices and then rerun our compliance. Meanwhile, I want to see GUI. Oh, that was fast. So it's 10, 20, 50. Okay. How do I check? CentOS check open ports. AT8 is open, so probably it's there. Yep. It would be good to know his credentials here. I guess, is it admin empty? Admin. Okay. Yep, that was the case. I thought I could show this compliance report here, but I don't see how. Alright, whatever. Okay, let's go back to the lab here. So we committed config, so now we rerun our compliance check. Okay, so we have a new file called text, so let's open, let's check this out. Okay, summary, resulting in no violation, no discrepancies found. All right, cool. So this was compliance check with NSO services. Oh, ouch. No, folks, I don't think I'm ready for NSO services today. I mean, yeah, this NSO services requires a separate stream from my perspective. Let's see what is the last one. And there is service instance. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So now I think we'll skip these two NSO services and NSO service instances. It's just a little bit too much right now for me. NSO services really deserve a separate dedicated stream specifically for that. So at some point we'll do that. Right. If you guys have any questions right now, would be a good one to ask regarding NSO or anything else. And meanwhile, I will be wrapping up today's stream. So on this stream, we were going through this new lab developed by Jason Belk for DevNet. It's called Learn NSO the Easy Way. There is a lab and there is also infrastructure that you can reserve. It's called NSO Sandbox. That was developed by Hank Preston. Both of these two combined is just an amazing resource. You will get a chance to play with NSO in like network with IIS, ISXC, Nexus, ISXR, ASA, and see like how NSO can manage all of that, which is pretty interesting. So what actually we did explore with NSO as part of this lab. So let me go to some of my notes so it will be a little bit helpful for me to remember some of these pieces. So first we looked at how you add devices there to NSO. So you create an author group and then you actually add device and you specify what is net. And net is network element driver. Those are specific for every operating system and they are being released quite often based on asks from customers. And those are modules which translate the config of the device to a Yang model used by NSO. And they also have some kind of additional code which allows this transition from CLI to config to Yang model and then vice versa. So after we connected to the devices, the first operation that we did was sync from, and there are three main operations. There is check sync, sync to, and sync from. So sync from takes running configurations from the devices, converts them to these Yang models that NSO understands using those nets, and save it to a local configuration database called CDB. Now sync. So that was sync from. Sync to is we take this configuration from CDB, we convert it back to CLI or netconf or whatever, and then we apply it back to the device. And check sync just checks if the what is in CDB coincides with what is on the device. Okay. So next we looked at how you define groups, and it seems like the usual way to do grouping would be based on the platforms. Probably like you can group them any way you like, but it seems like it makes the most sense if you first group them by your platforms, because you can then also apply some kind of configuration directly on all platforms at the same time. So we created groups based on platform, and then we had group all, which contains all other groups. Next, we took a look how would you do a configuration change in NSO on specific device or on group of devices. And also I showed to you that, okay, normally we can like do some very basic stuff, but then let's say I wanted to configure DHCP helper, and we were able to find the appropriate command in the NSO CLI and add it to our configuration snippet and committed it. We also looked at how we do commits and rollbacks. What else? Next, we looked at how would you use device templates. So device templates is just a snippet of config. And in this case, we had a template which was configuring DNS server on all platforms at the same time. So basically, the idea here is that you specify what net you are working with, for example, iOS, and then you define what configuration you want to apply for that net. And then similar to ASAv, XR, and whatever. Kind of feels like Jinja-ish, just without Jinja syntax. So we did that and then applied this template on all devices at the same time. And the result was that this config was applied across all devices, even though they are running different operating systems. Then next we took a look at features that I didn't even know existed in NSO. It's called, there are like platform details, and I just put it under umbrella of operational data. So first it parses for you some of the things, like very important pieces like routing tables, serial numbers, version of running software. I think it uses text FSM to parse some of it, and you can retrieve it from any device or group of devices as you want in pretty neat way. For things that are not supported this way, you can always run this exact, and then run any command you want. And then lastly, we looked at how would you do compliance. So you can define a template which is also your compliance template. So you can always run this compliance report on your device or group of devices and see if they are compliant with what is supposed to be. So let's say you did this configuration and someone went ahead and changed it, and you can rerun your compliance every so often and see what has changed or not, and then you can do whatever you want with that result. Lastly, there is one part of the lab that we didn't cover, which is services. And the reason why is that I feel like services deserve their own time. So we skipped step 9 and 10 in the lab guide, and we'll take a look at services and some other time. I do feel like NSO is really powerful. It's something worth looking at. I'm now even more excited to actually try it for some of my stuff. Yeah, and I encourage you to go ahead and do this lab on your own. Like everything is public here. You just go to sandbox, NSO sandbox. You reserve it. You can reserve it for like a week or so. You take the lab guide and you just go through the lab, and it will be very helpful for you. Maybe you will get inspired like I did. Right, with that, thank you so much, folks, and I will see you next time. Goodbye now.